All right, ladies and gentlemen, MrSotko here. Welcome back to the channel. Got a whole bunch of good crypto news stuff for you. And the first thing that I want to talk about is Coinbase's IPO. It's coming out on April 14th, and that's just for its stock. However, it could result in a whole bunch of crypto investing, including the possibility of opening it up of Bitcoin to an ETF finally, with it actually being able to be packaged with various other stocks that have cryptocurrency like MicroStrategy, maybe even Tesla, Coinbase, etc. So ETF investors say Coinbase listing will cause explosion in crypto investing. The pending Coinbase direct listing, scheduled for Wednesday on the NASDAQ under the symbol COIN, very fitting, is exciting a broad base of investment community outside the usual cryptocurrency crowd. Coinbase is going to blow people's minds, says Matt Hoigan, Chief Investment Officer at Bitwise Asset Management, which pioneered the first cryptocurrency index fund. I think it's going to force traditional finance to wrestle with the phenomenal growth that is taking place in crypto. It's not hard to understand why Coinbase is likely the biggest beneficiary of the cryptocurrency revival. It held 56 million verified users with 1.8 billion in revenue in the first quarter alone, and a value that could be anywhere from 50 to 100 billion dollars. That is an extraordinary valuation for an exchange of any type. By contrast, Intercontinental Exchange, which runs New York Stock Exchange, has a market cap of 65 billion, and while Nasdaq has a market cap of 25 billion. So crypto assets had the same problem that other hot commodities like pot or space have had in the past, a high degree of interest with a notable lack of investable assets. Coinbase, however, will go a long way towards solving that problem. Coinbase will be the biggest public pure-play cryptocurrency company, full stop, said Matt Kennedy, senior IPO market strategist at Renaissance Capital. Says, I expect every crypto ETF will want or need it to own at some point, and it is possible our ETF will be the first to own it. So ETFs will be able to package Coinbase's stock within it, and many people have tried to file a pure Bitcoin ETF in the United States, all of which have been failures and have been denied by the SEC, while Canada has something like 3 now, and Brazil has 1 or 2. This could lead to a little bit more understanding by the SEC of what Bitcoin is, and it could also be packaged with Coinbase's stock itself or various other cryptocurrencies. So maybe this will lead the industry in the way that we need for a Bitcoin ETF, because investors and institutions need an ETF, because if you're investing for others, you can't just simply go onto Coinbase and buy them some cryptocurrency and then say, yep, no, we have a portfolio for you that we purchased with your funds. That's not how it works. They need an institutional way to do that legally, and they need an ETF. And the only thing we have close to that right now is Grayscale, which is an ETF packaged not as an ETF, disguised as an ETF. Basically, Grayscale is kind of an ETF without actually being an ETF. Being actively managed, we can buy it the moment it goes public, and we fully expect it to be in our portfolio. So it's looking like a pretty hot stock is on the way, and that's going to be Coinbase. While Bitcoin ETFs exist in the US, they do not directly own Bitcoin. They own portfolios of stocks deemed to have exposure to blockchain technology. So basically, you're buying stocks of companies that have purchased Bitcoin. That's about the best we have so far, which is not really purchasing Bitcoin. A Bitcoin ETF that owns Bitcoin is a long-awaited dream of crypto investors, because it will greatly expand a class of potential owners. And by greatly, that's kind of an understatement. The United States desperately needs a Bitcoin ETF. In fact, the whole crypto world needs a United States Bitcoin ETF. A Bitcoin ETF will provide an easy, simple, and efficient way to own Bitcoin, said Sam Seif, which, again, for the retail investor, that's pretty much Coinbase or various other exchanges. For the institutional investor, then it would be a simple and efficient way for them to do it. Just like gold, the storage and custody of Bitcoin is unique. An ETF solves that problem. Also, it's like a stamp of approval. There's institutional backing. The gold ETF changed the world when it came out in 2004, and it made it easy to own gold as an asset class. He anticipates a Bitcoin ETF will do the same for Bitcoin. And several weeks ago, the SEC acknowledged the receipt of VanEck's Bitcoin ETF application, which set in motion a 45-day regulatory review period. At the end of that period, the SEC must either approve, deny, or extend the review period. Several other firms, including Fidelity, have also applied for a Bitcoin ETF. Most observers believe the SEC will punt and seek to extend the review period, and the maximum period is 240 days. The commission doesn't like doing new things, and when something falls into that category, it gives the commission so the attitude is basically the SEC does not like an ETF. That was worded very strangely. Let's take the maximum amount of time, said one long-term SEC observer who spoke on condition of anonymity. He works in a sensitive job in the crypto industry. However, most Bitcoin watchers believe late 2021 could finally be the year a Bitcoin ETF is approved. Again, the institutional investors, people who are actually investing for other people, portfolio managers, they need an ETF so they can take funds and sort of legally buy them Bitcoin and hold it for them and use the ETF to hold it for them. Whereas nothing else really fits that at the moment except for Grayscale. And Grayscale, you're not really buying Bitcoin, you're buying GBTC, which is essentially Bitcoin derivatives. And there's some very inherent wrong things with that because you're not owning Bitcoin at all. And with an ETF, you wouldn't be owning your own Bitcoin either, but at least you would be actually physically buying and selling Bitcoin. Whereas Grayscale, you buy it, you have a 6-month holding period before then you can actually sell it or trade it on the open market. And it's just not it's just not the same thing, while they do still have to hold Bitcoin. MicroStrategy becomes the first American company to pay its directors in Bitcoin. MicroStrategy board directors will now be paid in Bitcoin, CEO Michael Saylor said in a tweet today. The board of directors of MicroStrategy is now paid in Bitcoin. The tweet read, the board of directors is a panel of high-profile individuals who are elected to represent and protect shareholder interests and managing corporate oversight. As per the company's investor relations page, MicroStrategy has a total of 5 board directors, including Saylor. In a filing with the SEC, MicroStrategy clarified how the director fees in Bitcoin will be paid out. Going forward, now non-employee directors will receive all fees for their service on the company's board in Bitcoin instead of cash. It noted that the adoption of Bitcoin as a form of compensation for board service came amidst MicroStrategy's commitment to Bitcoin, given its ability to serve as a store of value, supported by a robust and public open source architecture, untethered to a sovereign monetary policy. As such, the amount of fees payable to non-employee directors would remain unchanged and will be nominally denominated in US dollar. However, at the time of payment, the fees will be converted from US dollar into Bitcoin by a payment processor and then deposited into the digital wallet of the director. So this is actually kind of good, because they're not just using the Bitcoin that they have on them, that MicroStrategy has purchased, and they're just like, okay, here's a Bitcoin for you, here's a Bitcoin for you, etc. They're actually going to take the money that they were supposed to pay these people and then convert it to Bitcoin and then give them the Bitcoin. So, hey, fair enough. That's at least a little bit better than my initial thought of this, that they were just going to be giving away or at least paying in their current reserves of Bitcoin. But they're actually going to be physically buying Bitcoin and then giving others Bitcoin. So who knows? On the other end, they'll probably sell it. Who knows? They might likely hodl it as well. But a little bit of market pressure from buying Bitcoin for their probably super rich directors. Moving on here, Reddit reminisces a defunct Bitcoin Faucet website that gave away 19,700 Bitcoin for free. So back in the day, a thread started by a groundbreaking Lack78 Reddit user took the Reddit community all the way back to June 2010 when Andreessen first launched the so-called Bitcoin website Faucet using the domain freebitcoins.appspot.com, which would never work today because it would immediately be drained by everybody flocking to the website for free money. But back in the day, when Bitcoin was probably 0.3 of a cent, nobody really cared. Andreessen gave visitors the opportunity to earn 5 Bitcoin per day, which is something like hundreds of thousands of dollars now, just by solving a CAPTCHA. To fuel the first faucet, Andreessen loaded it with 1,100 BTC. Ouch! Of his own. After these were given away, the faucet was reloaded with early Bitcoin miners and whales also donating coins. The faucet's creator announced his really dumb idea of giving away free BTC on the now infamous Bitcoin Talk forum. In a post that appeared June 11th, 2010, which again, at that time, it was about the time the first exchange came out. I believe it was like summer 2010, and Bitcoin was something like 0.3 of a cent. I want the Bitcoin project to succeed, and I think it's more likely a success if people get a handful of coins to try it out. Andreessen played a major role in Bitcoin's development during its formative days. He was the main software developer for Bitcoin's reference implementation, having joined the core development team in 2012 after Satoshi Nakamoto announced they would be leaving the project. But you can see here, this is the original site. It says, get Bitcoins from the Bitcoin Faucet. And you just have to do a CAPTCHA. Right now, that site would just be absolutely and utterly overwhelmed by the entire planet to try and get Bitcoin, because 5 Bitcoin would be, what would that even be? Like nearly something like $300,000. It's just a little $300,000. And it says, what are Bitcoins? Bitcoins are a new kind of money. They're created. They aren't created or controlled by a government. They're created and controlled by anybody who wants to be part of the Bitcoin payment network. Visit bitcoin.org website for all the geeky details. It's so cheesy. Moving on here, it says, how do I get a Bitcoin receiving address? Download the Bitcoin program from bitcoin.org. I've got Bitcoins. How can I help? Send them to the Bitcoin Faucet address at such an address here, and they'll be given away. It may take up to 30 minutes for your donation to be added. It says, what's the catch? No catch. I want Bitcoin to be successful, so I created a little service to give you a few coins to start with. I wonder if this address still exists. I mean, I don't see why it doesn't exist, but I wonder if anybody's ever given any of Bitcoin to this address in any recent memory within the past years or so. Even fractions of Bitcoin might be worth your time, everybody. Everybody flock to the free Bitcoin website and just put in your CAPTCHA and you may get 12 Satoshis or something. Who knows? Moving on, for a quick news, The Simpsons episode shows Bitcoin going up to infinity. So nothing too special here, but everybody loves The Simpsons. So Bitcoin has once again made it to the longest running scripted TV show in history, Burger King's, the 18th episode in season 32. Oh my God. It was only like 3 years, wow, 32 years of the iconic animated sitcom The Simpsons shows the largest cryptocurrency priced at infinity. Apart from Bitcoin, the ticker news feed includes the stock of GameStop, adding 1 trillion and then immediately losing 2 trillion, highlighting the immense volatility of the go-to YOLO stock. So it's just basically a quick caption or a scene screenshot, and it says GameStop at 1 trillion, and then the next time it comes up, it's minus 2 trillion, and it says Bitcoin at infinity with an infinity symbol. Good for you, Simpsons. But moving on to the best news of the day. Guys, bust out your old Commodore 64s. I expect soon here to see entire warehouses not filled with ASICs anymore. Screw that. Those are too costly. Aren't those like $5,000 each? Ain't nobody can afford that, right? Go on eBay and start buying every single Commodore 64 you can, and then go rent out a big warehouse and get some industrial electricity and hook up, you know, who knows, 14,000 Commodore 64s, and you should have at least $7 within the month. You can now mine very slowly on a Commodore 64. A software developer has written code that lets you mine Bitcoin on a Commodore 64, one of the earliest mass-market computers. The code is accessible on developer file sharing programs at GitHub. In fact, the Commodore 64 is easily one of the most versatile computers ever created by man. I actually watched a YouTube video once, and it has nothing to do with Bitcoin, but I watched a YouTube video once of a Commodore 64 actually browsing the internet. And unfortunately, it can't actually show like images like this, so it shows the website as like an early 90s kind of looking thing where it's just the text, and there's absolutely like no colors or or pictures or JPEGs or anything like that. It's basically like browsing eBay with just being able to press links and like see the text. It was actually pretty amazing. Like it was amazing. I mean, launched in 1982 and somehow today can still literally browse the web, although extremely primitively. Launched in 1982, the Commodore 64 was a widely successful 8-bit personal computer focused on gaming and creating music. First sold in 1982, it went on to capture the low-end computing market. It has a grand total of 64 kilobytes, 1/1000th of a megabyte of RAM. Today's computers typically have 4 to 32 gigabytes of RAM. Bitcoin mining involves performing complex computations in the hope of finding a suitable answer before another miner does. The successful miner is rewarded with Bitcoin. Pretty much any computer is capable of running the mining process, which is a matter of crunching hash functions. Saw a Game Boy actually set up to be able to mine cryptocurrency as well. But today's computers, today's miners almost invariably use dedicated ASICs. So the developer behind the Commodore 64 mining code, Maciek Witkowiak. Got it. Slow it down. Slow it down. I get it every time. I promise you guys. Estimates the vintage computer would produce a hash rate of 0.2 hashes per second. In comparison, the modern day ASIC miner like the Antminer T19 crunches hashes at a rate of 84 terahashes per second, although the S19 Pro Plus or whatever it is, it's like 110 terahash. That's 1 trillion hashes per second, so it's unlikely the Commodore 64 would have a chance at ever mining a Bitcoin block. Hey, that's not true. Oh, see, it even shows the Bitcoin mining on a Game Boy as well. And the mining on a Game Boy is 0.8 hashes per second. So it's absolutely crushing the Commodore 64. So you can either get an entire warehouse of Commodore 64s just crunching away. Make sure you have the fans on them too. Wouldn't want them overheating. Or just get a whole bunch of Game Boys and then buy, I don't know, 600,000 AA batteries and you should be good to go. But moving on here to coin market cap, $2.091 billion market cap. So moving on up still, $60,800 Bitcoin, 2,166 Ethereum, and Binance Coin hit an all-time high earlier today. I think it was like $645. It's now down to $569. Well, I actually take a closer look at that. Let's see. It was like 635, 645 or so. So Binance Coin actually creeping up a little bit on Ethereum. It's still got a ways to go. It's still got about 4 times or so to go, but it's amazing how far Binance Coin has made it. I remember when Binance Coin was just a few dollars. But basically, you know, Binance Coin, Binance chain is really actually kind of taking off. That's a centralized DeFi sort of blockchain. But the one advantage that I could say you could get from that is that it is reversible. So when DeFi developers make some kind of contract or some kind of token or something like that, and they rug pull, they can at least reverse it. I'm trying to find a positive here, guys. I don't know. XRP at $1.44. So things are exploding all over the place. Pretty good market right now, but once this Coinbase IPO comes out, it might attract more cryptocurrency investors, people buying cryptocurrency stock, learning about, that's going to get people that may have not been in cryptocurrency to buy the stock. And then when you learn about the stock, you learn that Coinbase is a cryptocurrency exchange, then you may get even more interested and go to Coinbase and actually start buying some Bitcoin. So it does have quite the potential there. But that's all I have for you guys. Make sure you like, subscribe, share the video. My social media in the description below. Channel memberships are active. Click the join button down below. You're going to get a Cool Beans badge for being a member. And you look 32% cooler when you comment on the channel because it shows your Cool Beans badge. And I can see it from space. It's amazing. That's all I have for you guys. Hope you enjoyed it. And as usual, I'll see you guys next time.